Happy Monday and happy 2024 NFL Draft Week, folks. We made it. We are just 3 days away from the start of this year's NFL Draft at long last. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Nick Roloff, a.k.a. Rolly, hanging out with us today, almost as always as well. Jam-packed show, including a fun mock draft exercise that we'll kind of tease for you guys. You guys got to stick around if you want to be a part of that. But in the meantime, shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from right now. Sorry we're a couple minutes late. We had to get a couple things ready to go for the mock draft. But it's gonna be worth it, I think. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Something we threw together today. Where are you guys tuning in from? We got Ty Man, the Buckeye in Ohio. Ty Man, I don't know if you realize this. There's a lot of Chat Sports office chats about you. I think Rolly can attest to those.
We battle for Ty Man, the Buckeye's affection.
Yeah, Ty Man, we were debating which channels you tune into most, and I had the take of, well, the answer is all of them, but it would be an interesting question to have answered of what the Mount Rushmore of Ty Man, the Buckeye channels.
I want you to rank this for me. Obviously, PD is number one in the Browns
channel, yeah.
What is number two?
Yeah, what's number two, Ty Man?
I made a case for the Heat Report to be number two on the list because of the amount of watch parties this season.
I want to hear it, Ty Man.
You let me know if that is spot on or not.
You let us know. We got Rebecca in Fort Myers, Pain Train in Bowling Green. We got Mike Nintendo in Wake Forest, Wasim in Irvine, California. Bowie in Spokane. We got Jaron Thomas in Noblesville, Indiana. Gretna, Nebraska from Eric. We got Rome in Wisconsin. Jason in Scotia, New York. Xavier in Orlando. Scott Sutcliffe in Colorado Springs. Giancarlo Southside. Go Sox, go Bears. Rough time for the White Sox. I mean, I don't know if you've seen this, Rolly. They're on pace to lose like 138 games. I mean, it is unbelievable. Jared in Keller, Texas. We got Omar in New York. Mesa, Arizona from Tricky. Jason in Dunning, Illinois. Philip in Mount Prospect. Marcus in Chicago. David in Elgin. Mark in Orlando. Denny in Grand Rapids. What's he saying? I didn't see it.
He said in the offseason, it's the Heat. NFL season, Vikings.
Vikings?
So
for number two.
I think he's saying number two.
You've been in here a good amount too, Ty Man, but I didn't stake claims to you. That you know, the other channels were debating you, but it looks like Rolly might have been right.
He is always hanging out with us on the evenings that we have games.
Ty Man is hoping the Heat extend that series.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be devastating when I can't hang out with Ty Man anymore.
Yeah, it's a tough look. Andres kicking things off today. Shout out to you, Andres. Happy draft week, y'all, FGB. Get the FGBs going for Andres. Shout out to you. Happy draft week indeed. CEO Snow Gang with the 5. Caleb era being this week. I am so ready. By the way, if you haven't already, go to my Twitter at HGramNFL. Give me a follow too. I would appreciate it. Did you guys see the edit of the Caleb Williams crown thing? And as he crowns himself, it goes from a USC to a Bears jersey.
Ooh, that's tough.
It's pretty sick. I don't know if you've seen it, Rolly, but this guy put it together on Twitter. I messaged him and told him it was sweet. But yeah, it's a sweet look. If you haven't seen it, at HGramNFL, you will see it right there. What should the Bears do at number 9? This is the poll question as well. You think they should go offense, defense, or trade? That could be trade up or trade down. Offense, defense, or trade. The homie Trav says offense. Pat Hunt says defense. DC Viper says offense. Malcolm says offense. So does Shane. Need a mock every day until Thursday. Well, we're doing one in a way on live today. For those not able to watch live, it'll go tomorrow. And then I'm going to have my final Bears mock draft go on Wednesday because we got to hit the latest chatter, buzz that's going out there too. Not every video can be a mock, but hey, maybe I'll do a mock draft short every single day. I could make that happen for you guys. Braden says offense. Omar says offense. Alex says defense. Rome says trade. Scott says trade up for Marvin Harrison Jr. So does Scott Sutcliffe. If that happens, Rolly, Thursday night's going to be wild if the Bears end up with Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.
We are going to party can I argue that I think more people would be excited? I think people have obviously come around to Caleb Williams, but
Yep.
I legitimately believe that more people would be excited with Marvin Harrison Jr. than Caleb Williams.
Well, I think it would also soften the blow for the last few people who wanted to, or for the ones who really wanted to keep Justin too, because a lot of their big argument was, I just leave it like that. I can fix it later. I think it's okay for this. Was because they wanted Marvin. Well, if you get both,
Yeah.
then it's kind of like, okay.
I mean, that's tough, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I think 18 Marvin Harrison Jr. jerseys would sell quicker than Caleb Williams 13. Nah, that's definitely not true. But
They would both be in the top 5.
it'd be ridiculous.
They would both be very, very high. All right, we are sponsored by GameTime here on today's live show. We appreciate GameTime for sponsoring Chat Sports and Chicago Bears Now. And I can tell you, I've used GameTime's app several times, and it's a ticketing service app. And look, I'll be honest, buying tickets online before, kind of a pain in the ass. Not with GameTime. They have simplified it for you. They've made it easy, and most importantly, they offer you the lowest price guarantee. For example, if you find the same ticket on a different third-party app and it's a lower price, you show GameTime, they will lower the price they have it listed because they want you to have the best experience possible. If you want to go check out the Cubbies, if you want to check out the White Sox, and listen, you may have to close your eyes when the White Sox are up to bat, but you can get in for like $2, $3 to guaranteed rate field right now. I mean, it is dirt cheap. I get they stink, but cheap tickets to go to the ballpark, there's certainly nothing wrong with that. How about the Rolling Stones here in a couple of months? You can get your tickets now. Best prices available with GameTime. What I like with GameTime, too, is they show you photos of your vantage point based on the ticket you're purchasing in that venue, in that stadium. It is awesome. You can also purchase through GameTime with the Venmo app. So if you got some extra money, maybe from fantasy football or something else floating in your Venmo account, boom, use that. And when you download the app, search GameTime in your app store, click the link in the live chat, and create your account. Use promo code CHATSPORTS. That's going to get you $20 off your first purchase today. Again, Cubs, White Sox, concerts, comedy shows. It's all available. It's game time. Get going with the GameTime app today. The best solution to purchasing your tickets. Last-minute tickets for the lowest price guaranteed. It's game time. All right, we know we still owe Jealousy a segment, and the segment he wanted due to being the Super Chat MVP was Caleb Williams. What does he have to do to justify passing on the big trade down and keeping Justin Fields? Like, how good does he have to be? I think that's going to be a more fun and appropriate show to do the Monday after the draft on our Monday live show. So that's going to be next Monday just because there's so many draft rumors and different things going on right now leading up to Thursday. We want to make sure we cover that for you guys. And that segment is going to apply next week just as much as it is today. So that'll be next week. Stay tuned. Jealousy, if you're watching, we will hit that for you guys. But we got to make sure we hit our other coverage leading up to the draft as well. Appreciate you for hopefully understanding there. Poppy Chulo says, I need a mock every day till Thursday. Like I said, we're trying. We're doing as much as we can. We want to make sure we're hitting the latest news and rumors as well. Yeah, we're going to crank out all the draft content here. M. Xavier, if top receivers are gone, trade down. That's a very popular idea. You know, a lot of Bears fans would say if MHJ, Odunze, and Nabers are all gone, then trade down. I would throw Joe Alton there. If he's there, I'd probably take him. After that, I would probably agree with you. I'd be open to Byron Murphy. I think he's the best defensive player in this draft, and sounds like there's a lot of buzz there. So we'll see. We'll see what the Bears do. We'll see what they're thinking. Alex Ammerling, so ready for Thursday. Bear down. Me too, man. I've been ready really since the Combine. Got to go to the Combine. That was fun. And really, well, I take that back. I've been ready since about the 4th day of free agency.
No, Harrison, this is weak by you, man.
This is what?
This is weak.
What do you mean?
I've been ready since December.
Well, I mean, if you want to go by channel history, we've been ready since late September because that's when we dropped our first mock draft, which I don't think many channels were doing that. But yeah, it's all led to this point, and it's exciting. It's exciting. CEO back at it here. Appreciate it, you guys. Caleb Williams will be wearing 18. He might. He wore 18 in high school.
I'm not going to lie. He wears 18. Bust.
No, he's not. Stop.
Bust.
He's not going to be a bust.
18. Bust.
He's not going to be a bust.
If he wears number 18, bust.
You're being ridiculous. Wasim with the 20. He says, bear down FGB. The Bears need to get offense with their second pick, preferably a wide receiver. Watching the Bulls heat stream was rough. Oh, yeah, F. Reinsdorf. Yeah, I don't know what the Bulls are doing. I mean, even if they win that game, they're going nowhere. But I got to tell you, Rolly, you were on the right side of that game. But
that was fun.
Could you ask for a better opportunity to get into the playoffs if you're the Bulls? No Jimmy Butler, no Terry Rozier, and you lose by, what was it, like 30 almost?
It got like to 29. I don't think it ever got to the 30 threshold, and it ended up being like a 22 point.
It was never a game. That was an abysmal showing, to say the least. And Rolly was celebrating. So
I knew it was going to be a 20
Wasim,
point
I got to
game.
ask,
No
did you watch on the Heat report or on the Bulls report?
Oh, he watched with the real ones.
He was with the Heat crew?
He was, at least for a little bit. I don't know. I can't remember if he stayed around for a while, but.
You know the motto. Get the FGBs going. Alex in there, Malcolm, Ty Man the Buckeye. Wasim says he was watching on the Heat report.
Yeah, I knew he was there. I didn't know. I couldn't remember. It's been a little bit. There was a lot of drinks consumed that night as well. How long he stayed on the Heat report, but yeah, I knew he was there for a while because he was also a driving force behind a couple of those drinks.
There you go. Shout out to Wasim.
Shout out to Wasim.
Jeremiah, Mike, NFL Productions, Jared Verse, Jaron Thomas, all getting their FGBs in there. Josue, Diffuse. Appreciate you guys lighting up the chat. We'll get going here in a few moments. Got to get to another super chat, though. Tricky, if the Bears take an offensive tackle at 9 and he's not a significant upgrade over Braxton Jones, then it's a wasted pick. Only Alt would be justifiable. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you take a tackle and it's not a clear upgrade for Braxton, then, yeah, it's the pick doesn't end up being good. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? Like, you got to feel good about it being an upgrade. And I'm kind of with you. If it's not Alt at 9, I would still be open to a tackle, but I'd want to trade down. I'd want to move down a few spots and at least get extra capital. But, yeah, Alt at 9, I'd feel really good about making that pick. You know, I like Fuaga a lot, but I don't know if he could play left tackle. Olu at 9, I think that's a little rich for him. Latham, I think it's a little rich for him. Fatanu, I really like, but there was also a report today. There could be a knee concern there. That's not great. So, yeah, that next grouping, I would probably rather trade down between, 11 and 15 for. Emiliano, Bears should trade up for Marvin Harrison Jr. If they stay at 9, I pray for Joe Alt if receiver Odunze, or if receiver Odunze and trade back Latu or Troy Fatanu. Yeah, if the knee thing that I think Schrager, someone said there's a minor knee thing or a knee issue for some teams for Faltanu. If it's not significant, I really like him because he's very versatile. He could play left tackle, he could play guard, he could play right tackle. Some think he could play center. But if it's a major issue, then he probably falls back a little bit. Harrison Graham's beard, the super chat says, if we don't draft edge, who are you targeting? I'll make this clear too. The only edge I would even be, I mean, I'm not going to say it's an awful pick because they need an edge, but unless it's Dallas Turner at 9, given his upside, I would much rather trade down.
I got to be honest, Harrison. I know it takes 2 to tango. I think it would be a massive mistake staying at 9 and taking an edge if you're Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Edge might be I would rather take the second tackle at 9 than an edge because, unless it's Turner, because I think Fuaga and even Fashanu and even maybe Latham and Faltanu, I think they're better prospects than Verse and Latu. If Latu had a clean bill of health, I'd feel differently, but the guy has a neck fusion. I don't have access to the medical information, but if I'm concerned after his rookie contract, he's not going to be able to hold up. I can't take him at 9. I might be willing to trade down and take him in the first round, but yeah, I don't know. I think these edges are good. I don't think really any of them are worth 9. I could see Turner because he's got such high athletic profile, but Verse, I ran a mock draft the other night, and a little teaser, Rolly and I are going to do a first-round mock later on. He might be there at 20. depending on how
There's
this
a
goes.
serious scenario where he's there at 21.
And I like him a lot, but like even if there aren't great trade downs, like I'd rather take like a slight trade down and get more out of it, or just take a different player because I just don't think it's the best bang for your buck to go edge at 9. All right, if you're excited for NFL Draft
well, make
Week,
sure you read the super chat.
hit the like button.
Or did we show
Andres. Oh, okay, I didn't read this.
I don't know. I was gonna say, I don't think I.
The more time passes, the more I'm inclined to believe the Bears are going to go defense at 9. If they go defense at 9, it needs to be Byron Murphy or Dallas Turner. That's kind of where I'm at. I would not take any other defensive player at 9. But if you're excited for the draft, being here, hit the like button.
Oh boy, folks.
We're here. The like monster is ready to go.
Oh boy.
What's the standard today, like monster?
I mean, we're at 322.
150, just under 50%.
I'll give a discount to the people today. 140.
140. Okay. We need
140 likes, and then we can start today's show.
Playboy says no Verse. I like Verse. I just don't like him at 9. Like, I just think there's other guys at other premium positions that'll be available that I'd rather take.
Enrique says, are you guys going to be at the draft? I am, because I'm actually getting drafted in the first round. My agent has told me that the Seattle Seahawks are very intrigued with my services.
Well, it's not a deep draft, so you could sneak into round 6.
Well, no, I'm going round 1. I'm Patrick Paul in it. I've been told that I might be there. I might be hearing my name on Thursday.
Shout out Patrick Paul. We'll be here in the studios. We'll be live for all 7 rounds. You got the normal.
All 257 picks.
Yeah, it's
live on Chicago Bears
Day 3 could be a marathon if the Bears.
We're just gonna hang out.
If the Bears only have the 1 pick, so it's gonna be the ultimate just rally, have some drinks, hang out on Thursday.
We'll pregame the Heat game.
Oh, did the Heat play Saturday?
Yeah.
Is that game 4?
3.
Or game 3.
First game back in Miami.
So they drew the Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday draw?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
There's
always one series that gets that, and it's so obnoxious. 2 days in between.
2 days in between.
The first 2 games, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is
then we play the following Monday, which is so it's that could be the last game of the year. Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Monday.
We need more likes, Rolly.
We still need 33 likes.
We need more
likes. Come on.
We could go to Aaron Wolf's super chat in the meantime.
Well, I mean, they got to like the video because they got to know what's coming up, Harrison.
Yeah, here's what's coming up. We got the latest draft news and rumors. I'm doing updated draft targets in round 1 after Caleb Williams. Obviously, that's what they're doing at 1. And then NFL mock draft with a twist. Stay tuned for that. Should be a lot of fun. Got to like the video. 20 likes away. A couple super chats here. Harrison Graham's beard. What free agent edge would you target? I don't even know who the best one left is. I mean, bring back Ngakoue. I think that could happen.
Ngakoue watch part 2.
Let's see. Free agent edges, Spotrac. Let's see who's still out there.
I actually don't know the guys off top.
It's not a great group. There's not a lot of guys left. Carl Lawson, Emmanuel Ogba. You could go Calais Campbell if you want to go the vet route.
I could be in on Ogba.
Ogba on a 1-year deal. He fits the physical profile. He's been banged up the last 2 years for Miami, but it's pretty thin, man. I mean, you're not like Bud Dupree. He's pretty cooked.
Ugh, he's bad, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, and like that's why I get why some people are mocking edge at 9, but like you can't take the 16th player on your board just to fill a need when you have other needs. Like it's just not you can't draft that way. Like you're just not drafting properly. Like if the Bears are a little thin, like if edge is in a great position after Montez Sweat this year, so be it. Like you can't force the issue. Like if you get an impactful defensive tackle instead, that's fine. Rolly goes pick 268. Is that the first pick after the draft? Is it 267 this year?
257.
Oh, so 11 picks.
11 picks.
I'm guessing he meant 258.
Yeah.
2 likes away. Last super chat that we'll get to before we start here. Bears versus Texans game, regular season. You down? I'd love to. We go live for every game though, man. I'd love to make it happen at some point where I can get to a game, maybe a preseason game in the future. We do watch parties for those as well, but maybe we could work something out down the line for a preseason game. But these watch party streams are a big way for us to grow here at Bears Now. So we got to value those. But who knows in the future? 139, there it is. Like 140. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Jam-packed show. Happy draft week. Let's get to it here on Chicago Bears Now. Mario, we'll get to your super chat after this first segment. Will Ryan Poles make a splash for Marvin Harrison Jr.? That's where we're going to kick off today's episode of Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports. I'm Harrison Graham. Before we do that, draft week, we made it. Happy draft week. We'll be live for round 1 on Thursday and the rest of the draft. But on Thursday, if you see this thumbnail on YouTube, you're in the right place. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, join us as we celebrate Caleb Williams as the number 1 pick, plus find out what the Bears do after that as they also hold pick number 9. How about trading up to number 3 overall? Ben Volin, who's with the Boston Globe. He's covered the Patriots for a while, but now is kind of more of a national NFL writer. Kind of did like a predictions with some intel type of article, and one of those is that the Bears will get aggressive for Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, it's not a report. He called it an educated guess. So, again, based on probably stuff he's heard, could be possible. And something he pointed to was the Patriots being a potential team of trading down. Now, if you've kept up with the latest chatter around New England, it sounds like that price tag is going to be pretty damn massive. Like, if they're going to move off of 3, it's going to cost a lot. And quite frankly, I think it's going to cost too much for Chicago, but I'm down to play ball for this episode. Here's Ben Volin. He said, quote, Bears should get aggressive for Marvin Harrison Jr. The Patriots wouldn't mind trading out of 3, and I've got my eye on the Bears at number 9, who seem like they want to make a big splash and be the talk of the NFL this year. And I do think the Bears are going to be one of the big talking points of the Bears moving forward. They have been all offseason. They're getting Caleb Williams. If they got Marvin Harrison Jr., they certainly would be as well. Here was the trade idea that he put together. $975 plus a first and third next year, which that would be a big splash. I mean, there's no question about that. And, man, I kind of think it's too big of a splash, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, Ryan Poles has talked about flexibility, being smart in your decision-making. Like, that would be a tidal wave to give up that much capital for Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, think about what you're saying there. You would lose your first next year. You would go from getting Caleb and Marvin, which would be awesome, but then only picking in the 4th round this year. Yes, you'd have 2 seconds next year still, so you wouldn't be completely devoid of capital, but you'd also lose a 3rd next year. That's a lot to move up 6 spots in round 1. It kind of made me think of the Arizona-Houston trade from last year when Houston traded up from 12 to 3, and then the Cardinals ended up trading back up to 6, but that was a separate trade. But Houston gave up 12, 33, a first, and a third. So little similar. Instead of 33, it's a 75, but obviously you're going 3 to 9 instead of 3 to 12. Similar ballpark. Obviously it worked out well for the Texans. I mean, C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson have been terrific, but just because that played out well doesn't mean you should force the issue either. Like, no one loves Marvin Harrison Jr. more than me. I think the first mock draft we ever did was taking Marvin Harrison Jr. either number 1 or number 2 overall way back in the fall. Like, we've been on this for the better part of a year, really going back to last college football season when he wasn't even draft eligible. I mean, the kid is special. There's nothing he can't do. He's 6'4", 205. I think he's like a supercharged A.J. Green, and what I mean by that is similar frame, similar jump ball ability, but he's also more explosive and better after the catch, whereas A.J. Green was kind of just average in that area. And by the way, A.J. Green's probably going to the Hall of Fame, so even if he just ended up being that's a very, very good player. I just, again, like, when I look back at this trade, like, I mean, are you guys doing this? Like, are you giving up this much for Marvin Harrison Jr.? $975 and a first and a third next year. And sure, you could say, well, if he hits and the Bears are a deep playoff team, well, it's a late first and a late third. Yes, but, like, still, like, if you told me that Rome Odunze was going to fall to 9, I wouldn't even think twice. I would say, no, I'll just take Odunze at 9, but even if not, I think that's too much of a price to pay. Like, I like Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot. Let us know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. But that's a massive price to pay. Some reasons why, beyond the price just being too high. I do think there's a decent chance Odunze or Nabers could get to number 9. And if not, you can address other needs. Not everything moving forward is about 2024. Like, you could still be a good team in 2024 and beyond with a more practical and patient approach. You're obviously going to get your quarterback in Caleb Williams, but you could go with a Byron Murphy or a trade down for a defensive tackle. You could trade down for a different receiver if you wanted to, if the top 3 are gone. You could take a Dallas Turner. You could get a Joe Alt perhaps if he's available. Like, it doesn't have to be Marvin Harrison Jr. or bust. Hey, New England, just take whatever you want. We want Marvin that bad. I just don't think it's a good idea. I don't. And quite frankly, from New England's standpoint, they may say no. Like, they may want more than that, than what they got in that offer, because they might be looking at that, well, Chicago could be good next year. Do we want a future first that's going to be in the 20s? Like, I don't know if it's a win-win for either side, because for New England, it might take them out of quarterback range. So I think I'm passing, and I continue to circle back to this. And, yes, this may not be enough. I fully acknowledge that. 9 and probably a top 35, top 40 pick next year, because Carolina is going to be bad again. I would throw another pick on there. It wouldn't be a first, but maybe you throw a 3rd next year or your 4th this year or something like that to sweeten it a little more with the Chargers at 5. That I can get behind. If there's no future first, it's a different story. I'm ball game. Like, I'm in on that, but future first and a 3rd, like, I don't know. Like, I like Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot, but it's not like this wide receiver room is so barren that you have to force the issue here. It's not like the receivers after MHJ in this draft are so bad that you feel like you don't have a choice. I just don't think that's good business, and that's why I ultimately am going to have to pass on that trade idea from Ben Bolin. All right, we are sponsored by GameTime here on today's show. What does GameTime specialize in? Well, last-minute tickets for the lowest price guaranteed. That is what GameTime offers. If you want to go check out the White Sox, I get it, they stink. But, hey, maybe you want to go watch a good team coming to town. You can get really cheap tickets at Guaranteed Rate Field right now. Go check it out with GameTime. How about the Rolling Stones coming up in the month of June at Soldier Field? Get your tickets right now. You can purchase with Venmo as well with the GameTime app, which is pretty cool. The Cubbies are playing ball. They got a series with the Astros at Wrigley Field and a bunch more games coming up. Go check it out. Lowest price, last minute, guaranteed. You're going to get the best deal available. And use promo code ChatSports if you haven't created an account today. Download the app in your app store. Plug in ChatSports. That's going to get you $20 off right now. Concerts, sporting events, comedy shows, anything else where you have to purchase your tickets. GameTime makes it easy, and they give you the best deals out there. Link is in the comments and in the description. Click and shop today, and go get out of your house and enjoy life. The best price available with GameTime. Okay, are we about to see a potential draft shakeup? Because Adam Schefter, and I got to give credit to Mike Florio. He was actually on this for a couple of weeks, and I kind of just brushed it aside. I figured, okay, there's going to be some sort of penalty for Atlanta and Philly, but he was throwing out kind of wild theories. And, well, now Schefter's kind of doubled down on it, that the tampering charges in Atlanta's case for Kirk Cousins, Saquon for Philly. We'll focus on Atlanta because Schefter reports that those charges are going to be more severe considering it's for a quarterback. And there's been some thought that Atlanta could lose or at least have to move down from that number 8 pick, which directly would impact Chicago picking there at number 9 if something were to happen there. Here's what Schefter had to say. The NFL's investigation into alleged tampering charges against the Falcons for their involvement with then free agent Kirk Cousins. Some believe the discipline, which is likely to involve draft picks, is expected to be more severe for the Falcons than Philadelphia, who we also talked about. Schefter also gave an example of a recent tampering penalty. The Dolphins forfeited their 2023 first-round pick, a 3rd and 24 for tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton on 3 occasions from 2019 to 22. Obviously, that was over a 3-year period. Team owner Stephen Ross and Vice Chairman Bruce Beal were fined. Ross was fined $1.5 million. Beal was fined $500,000. But if you focus on the draft standpoint of this, like, the draft is this week. So if they're going to do something for this draft, you would think they'd have to do it before Thursday. So we'll see if that happens. But do not be surprised if the NFL does something big here. Why? Well, they dropped the hammer on Miami, and if teams are doing it again, especially for franchise quarterbacks, and by the way, Miami didn't even get Sean Payton or Tom Brady, and they still had the hammer drop on them. Atlanta got Kirk Cousins. I would not be shocked if something shook up here. Now, would it be kind of a dark cloud over the draft the week of if you have a team in the top 10 losing their pick that close to the draft? Kind of, which kind of makes me think if it's going to be something premium, it would be next year. But imagine if the Bears are sitting at 8 instead of 9. That could be the difference in getting Rome Odunze. It really could, because I don't think Atlanta would take him, but a team might leapfrog Chicago to trade up with Atlanta to take him, like the Jets, or a team like Cincinnati all the way down at 18. Seattle could maybe do it. Indianapolis has been linked to receivers. So if you're sitting at 8, if you're Chicago, that's a massive difference. Every single pick slot, especially in round 1, is worth more and more points the higher you are. So I'm keeping my eye on this. You guys should too. I don't think it's something to brush aside. Schefter did some deep reporting on it. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Now, speaking of the draft, as we are 3 days away, I think we are on the precipice of a historic offensive draft in general, but especially in round 1. Peter Schrager had an interesting tweet that he put out there earlier today, and based on who he has talked to, the reporting he's done, he only has 6 surefire first-round picks for defensive guys. Keep in mind, there's 32 picks. Byron Murphy, Dallas Turner, Latu, Terrion Arnold, Quinyon Mitchell, the corner out of Toledo, and then Jared Verse. And then late first, early second, Cooper DeJean, Chop Robinson, Darius Robinson, Nate Wiggins, the corner out of Clemson, and then Kool-Aid McKinstry. Even if all 11 of those players went in the first round and no other defensive players did, that would mean 21 offensive players went in the first round. The record for an NFL draft in round 1 for offensive players is 19. I think we're smashing that record. I think it'll easily be 20. It could flirt with 25. Now, 25, I'll admit, will be on the high end, and as you get later in the draft in round 1, teams might be like, okay, am I going to take the 8th offensive tackle or the number 3 edge? I'll take the number 3 edge. Like, stuff like that happens all the time. But I do think we'll set a record. I think the offensive talent is better. I think it's deeper. I think some boards in this draft are going to have 0 blue-chip players on their big board defensively. Now, I would say there's 1 or 2. You can make a strong argument for Byron Murphy and Quinyon Mitchell in that blue-chip category. You could make the argument for Dallas Turner as well with his physical upside, but there's way more offensive talent, especially at the top here, and I think you're going to see that play out on Thursday night. So when you think about it for the Bears, should you get defense while you can, since it's not as deep, especially when premium players? Because you could make that argument. Maybe it's like, okay, you're getting Caleb Williams at 1. It's a super deep offensive draft, especially in the first 3 or 4 rounds. You have a 3rd and a 4th round pick. Do you go defense at 9? Do you trade down for defense in the top 15 and go that route? I still think you just got to follow your big board and take the best player available at your premium positions of need, which is receiver, offensive tackle, edge, defensive tackle. But if it's close, I could see them going defense there, because then you just probably don't go defense the rest of the way. You probably go receiver in the 3rd round and then, BPA in the 4th round or wherever the case may be. But it'll be interesting because offensive players are going to fly. Tackles are going to go. Receivers are going to go. You're going to see these quarterbacks fly off. And it's going to be fun because we're going to be here for all of it on Thursday night. What say you? What should the Bears do at number 9 overall? Do you think they should draft offense, type O, defense, type D, or if you think they should trade up or down, type T for trade? Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. And join us for all of it. We'll have videos leading up to the draft on Thursday, live throughout the NFL draft starting on Thursday. Again, live on Friday and Saturday as well. Undrafted free agents on Sunday. It's going to be a whirlwind. We got you covered here on Chicago Bears Now. We got Mario here, says, I think Latu is a blue-chip player we can trade back and still get. I am not a fan of Byron Murphy unless we can get him past 20. He ain't falling to 20. I like Latu a lot. I think he is the best pure pass rusher in this class, but 2 things. 1, he's a fine run stopper, but I don't think he'll ever be great at it. And 2, he had a neck fusion surgery. He's played 2 years without any problems, at least it would appear. That's good. Can he do it for 10 more? That's the question I have. If if you're a team and your medical information tells you, hey, we think he can be really good for 5 or 6, but after that, we don't know if he can hold up, I don't think you can take that player in the top 10. It reminds me of Leighton Vander Esch. Similar deal, neck problems, unbelievable linebacker out of Boise State. Dallas took him. He was an all-pro his rookie year. Then the neck issues flared up. And he was a good player when healthy, but then now, 6 years later, he's retired. He had a nice career, but he lasted 6 years. Is that worth a top 10 pick? I don't know. I don't think it is. I think if you think he can give you 10 plus, then yeah, that's blue chip. You take him in the top 10. If you think he's a 5 or 6 year player, I think that's got to be a guy you take later in round 1 or even on day 2. So I don't have access to that info, but it's the same surgery Vander Esch had, which that's a concern, especially playing in the trenches and getting hit a lot. Geezer, when in doubt, go big. I assume we're talking about trading up, the Marvin Harrison thing.
That or offensive line.
Yeah, just literally big or defensive tackle. I mean, you wouldn't do that trade if you're the Bears, would you? Take your Patriots angle out of it.
I wouldn't. It's impossible to take the Patriots angle out of it, Harrison, because there is no chance in the world they would ever accept that trade.
See, I think both sides would be like, fuck no.
That is.
I think if you're the Bears, you're like.
There are multiple trade offers they've probably received
that are better than that.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Giants probably gave you something that's better because
the Vikings at minimum have offered 11, 23, and something else.
And 2025.
Yeah.
That's 3 firsts right there.
Yeah.
And that's minimum.
Yeah.
That's even just
maybe
get
they
Elliott
haven't
Wolf to pick up the phone.
maybe they haven't offered that 25 first, but they've offered something.
They've had to. If they're serious about trading up.
I would think so, yeah. Yeah. I just don't think either side does that.
No, it'd be stupid.
The Bears don't have to force it, and the Patriots can get more, from QB needy teams. So, yeah, look, again, with Marvin, I play it out. If he gets to the Chargers at 5, I call the Chargers and see what the asking price is. If it's a deal without giving up a future first, I'm in. If not, hey, we did our due diligence. We tried. We'll hang out at 9 and see what happens. I don't think you have to force the issue. Getting Keenan Allen gives you positional flexibility. So, yeah, I'd love to have him, but I'm not mortgaging, major capital to do it. So, all right, we got some Bears draft targets, and then a fun NFL mock draft exercise with Rolly and I. A little teaser there. You're not going to want to miss it. That's coming up in 15 minutes. If you have any super chats, we'll answer those after this segment. Let's get to some draft targets coming up here on Bears Now. You're watching Chicago Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. On today's show, we're going to focus on some round 1 draft targets for the Bears beyond quarterback. We know they're taking Caleb Williams number 1 overall, but what is this man thinking for number 9? Is he going to trade up? Is he going to trade down? Is he sticking at 9? Who's he going to target? We're going to dive into some names coming up here on today's show. Again, Caleb Williams will be the Bears pick at number 1 overall, but as we explore some Bears draft targets, you wonder what they're thinking beyond that because, A, we've heard them talk about a lot. We want a blue player. We want a blue player. That's blue chip. How far could you trade down to still get one? That's unclear. If you stay at 9, you're pretty much guaranteed one, I would think. But you factor in the Bears don't pick again until 75, as they do only have the 4 picks in total, 1, 9, 75, and 122. If there's a player you love at 9, you take them. I've kind of had that stance for a while. If there's a few you really like, trade down a couple spots if that trade's available. If you don't love a player at 9, then really try to trade down. But I think they have options. There's flexibility there. And they've got needs to fill. You're going to get your quarterback. You can check that one off. But I think 2 through 5 are kind of interchangeable. I would go BPA 2 through 5 with the number 9 pick. That's kind of my mentality right now. Trenches player or a receiver. And, I've talked a lot about the receivers. If the top 3 are there, that is the direction I would go. That's why I mentioned these 3 players off the top. Unlikely draft targets if you stay at 9. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Nabers, and Joe Walt. And I mean unlikely in the sense of they're just not expected to get to 9. If one of them does, you take them. Now, we're going to talk about Rome Odunze in a second. I have Rome higher than Alt, but I think it's more likely that Alt is gone versus Rome, if that makes sense. So, if it's Rome and Alt at 9, I would still take Rome, but I don't think he gets there. I think the Chargers at 5 and the Titans at 7 are prime teams to take Alt. I don't think Nabers gets there. I think the Giants, if they don't go quarterback, would take him at 6. I think Marvin's probably the first non-QB off the board, so he should go top 5. Now, name a player worth trading up for. Maybe you want to move up for one of those guys. Drop his name down in the comments. I know a lot of people want to trade up for Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm ball game if you don't have to give up a future first, but I just don't know if that trade is going to be available. But drop a name in the comments that you would like to trade up for. Now, my number 1 Bears draft target, if you sit at 9 and it's realistic, is Rome Odunze. I think there's at least a pretty good chance he gets there. Running different mock drafts, seeing what the national guys are saying. I would say it's at least 50-50 he's still available when the Bears pick at 9, and that's very exciting because this guy can really do it all. He would be the first receiver off the board in a lot of drafts. He just happens to be in a draft with 2 other Hall of Fame potential guys, and I think Rome could reach that level as well. I just think Marvin and Malik are slightly higher on most people's boards, but you get this guy in here, he can play the X for you. DJ Moore plays the Z, Keenan Allen plays the slot, but the beauty of all 3 of those guys is they can all move around. Rome can play slot, he can play Z, he can play X. They can all be effective in motion as well. He still remains my top realistic target at 9. If he's available and the other guys that you don't think are going to be aren't, that's who I'm taking. Even if Joe Alt's there, I would take Rome Odunze over Joe Alt. I can more than get by with Braxton Jones at left tackle. Rome Odunze, grow with Caleb Williams for the next decade. I love that idea. Number 2, Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle out of Texas. A lot of reporting in recent days suggesting that he could end up being the top defensive player taken, and I've had him as my top defensive player for a while. It was Dallas Turner earlier on in the process, but the more I watch this guy, and I just think since you already have Montez Sweat, I still think there's question marks about the 3-tech position here. I'm rooting like crazy for Gervon Dexter. If the Bears think he's ready to take that big next step, then yeah, don't take Byron Murphy. But if you still have questions about his pad level, his get off because he's a little slow off the snap, then Byron Murphy, those are 2 things you don't have to worry about. He's very quick off the snap. He's very quick and powerful in general. He uses his shorter height to his advantage with his low pad level, and we know the Bears are interested. That's pretty well documented at this point. And by the way, if you take Murphy and Dexter takes that step, that's not an issue. You rotate a lot on your defensive line, especially in the interior. And Dexter, one thing I really liked that the Bears did last year, they started moving him around. They'd put him at edge every once in a while and just bulldoze a right tackle, and he was pretty effective in that regard. He's big enough to give you some snaps at nose tackle, especially on clear passing down. So you could play these guys together. You could obviously rotate them a lot. The Bears only have 3 defensive tackles that I think are worth getting snaps right now. Not Byron Murphy, he'd be the next one. Gervon Dexter, Zach Pickens, and Andrew Billings. You need another defensive tackle regardless. So I like this idea. He would be my top defensive guy. I would take it number 9. Before we get to my next player here, let's talk about today's sponsor. That is, of course, GameTime, the best ticketing service app that is out there. Get out of your house and start having some fun. And if you want to get the best seats and the best prices available at the last minute, maybe you're someone who lives in the moment and wakes up on one day, hey, I want to go watch the Cubs at Wrigley today. Do it. Do it with GameTime. They got the best tickets available. You can wake up, game in 2 hours, boom. You're going to be able to find tickets available. They got flash sales the day of, zone deals as well. And what that means is, hey, they're trying to put butts in seats. They don't want empty seats at Wrigley Field. They don't want them at Guaranteed Rate Field either. That's kind of harder to avoid at this point. But, hey, you can get in for dirt cheap, couple of bucks. You can go watch the White Sox play, and even if it's bad baseball on that side of things, you can maybe go watch a good team in town, get yourself a hot dog, and have a day. Listen, concerts available. Rolling Stones rolling to Soldier Field in the month of June. Go see some legends while they're still going at it. It is game time. Download the GameTime app today. Use promo code ChatSports when you create your account. You're going to get $20 off. Link is in the comments and in the description. But if you just search Game Time, that big white letter G with the black background. That is their branding. You'll find it right there. Create your account. Use the promo code ChatSports. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. It's Game Time. Go check it out. Taliese Fuaga, who, 2 through 4 are very close for me. Fuaga is, I really like him. You guys know this. We've talked about him a decent amount. He, I thought, had very close to the best tape this year out of all the offensive tackles. I gave the slight edge to Joe Alt, and even if it's a tie, I would give him the edge because he's played left tackle multiple years. That's my one question with Taliese Fuaga. Can he play left tackle? I know he can be a plug-and-play right tackle right away, just like Darnell Wright last year. I think he can kick inside and be an awesome guard, just like I think Darnell Wright could have been. Can he play left tackle at a similar level that he plays right tackle? That is the question. Does he have the chops to do that? Because you're not moving Darnell Wright inside. Now, maybe you move Darnell Wright to left tackle. Maybe long-term, one of Wright or Fuaga would kick inside to guard, and you could just put them next to each other, and they could just wreck people. But it's kind of hard to draft Fuaga at 9 if you don't have a left tackle plan or if he doesn't have left tackle ability. Some people think he could play left tackle. Some people have reservations. So that would be up to the Bears to decide. If the Bears came out and told me, hey, he could play left tackle, that's where we would play him, I would have him very high here. If not, I would probably have someone who I'm about to talk about a little bit higher, at least in a Bears-focused big board when I'm looking at some draft targets here. Speaking of draft targets, we're focusing on round 1 guys here, but go check out our day 2 draft targets video. We look at some guys you could potentially get at number 75, or if the Bears end up with a second-round pick if they trade down from number 9 overall. Lots of players we dove into. Friday is going to be busy as well, so you want to be up to date with some of those players. Also, go check it out. Go subscribe. If you go to the content tab, scroll down a little bit, you'll see this thumbnail, and you can go watch that video. I'll also pin in the comments this video that you can go check out if you want to take a look at some day 2 targets. All right, next up here is Olu Fashanu. Now, I think Fuaga, was a better player last year. I do. But Fashanu is the second best left tackle in this draft. He's played it for multiple years. If he came out last year, he might have been the first tackle taken. And by the way, he didn't get worse this year. I thought he improved. I just thought a few other guys really elevated their games, like Fuaga, J.C. Latham's of the world, which has Fashanu sliding a little bit. I think 9's probably a little rich for him. Like, I'd prefer to trade down to like 12 to 15 and get him, but he's still rock solid. I think he needs a little bit of work in run blocking, but he's a good pass blocker, and I think he would be an upgrade over Braxton Jones. Now, I don't think he's a guy that would give you versatility that could kick inside, so if he didn't work out at tackle, I think you'd kind of be just SOL, shit out of luck. But I like him as a prospect. I think for the Bears, if they have questions about Fuaga's ability to play left tackle, Fashanu's probably a better option, probably a safer option in that regard as well. Now, pick an offensive tackle. Who would you rather have? Type TF for Taliese Fuaga or OF for Olu Fashanu. Let us know in the comments below who you would rather add on the offensive line. Now, I debated my 5th guy here. You could go in several directions. And by the way, really like 2 through like 7 or 8. It's pretty close. You could make an argument for a lot of it. But Dallas Turner, I just wanted to hit another position, the other position we haven't hit here, and that is edge. You look at my top edge prospects here, Turner, Verse, Latu, Robinson, and Darius Robinson too. Those last 2, I think, kind of a little bit behind the top 3. I think I've decided that Dallas Turner is the only edge that would be in play for me at number 9. I think that's too rich for the other guys. Latu, if he had no medical history, different story, because I think he's a very polished pass rusher, but with the spinal or with a neck fusion surgery, that concerns me. I don't have full access to the info. He's been healthy the last 2 years, but I would have to have more information there. And Jared Verse is really, really good. I don't think he's top 10 good, though. I think you could get him later in the first round, so I'd rather trade down. So if we're going to stay at 9 and take an edge, I think Dallas Turner's the guy. Even if he's not, a textbook 4-3 fit, I think he's got the athleticism and power to do it despite being just under 6'3", 250. The upside's massive. You put an athlete of his caliber on the opposite of Montez Sweat, who's just kind of the rock-solid player, I think that could really, really work well for this defensive line. So, again, I think these edges are more worthy in the middle of round 1 instead of inside the top 10, but Turner would be the one guy that I would be willing to take at number 9 overall. Now, some other round 1 targets, and I think in most of these cases it would be a trade-down situation, but Brock Bowers, damn good prospect. If I'm doing an overall big board, he's for sure inside my top 10. Obviously not as premium of a position and a need for the Bears at tight end, but I would still love to have him. J.C. Latham, Troy Faltanu, they can play tackle, they can play guard. Can Latham play left tackle? If he can, he'd probably be a little higher. Hasn't done it in college. That'd be a question I have. Again, Latu and Verse, we've talked about those guys. Brian Thomas Jr., and a slight trade down, I think he's worthy of going pretty high. Adonai Mitchell, he's a talent of a top 10 pick, but there are question marks about his kind of focus at times and things like that. But round 1, certainly in a trade down. Jerzon Newton, really good player. I just have him a little bit behind Byron Murphy at defensive tackle. Jackson Powers Johnson. It came out from Dane Brugler and the Beast that there are minor concussion concerns there, so that would give me some pause for a player playing center. And then Graham Barton, he's rock solid. He might end up being the first interior offensive line taken, unless, Faltanu kicks inside. But Barton's really, really good. And a big trade down, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. All right, fill in the blank. The Bears will draft blank at number 9 overall. Who is going to be the pick for Chicago? Let us know what you guys think. All right, you guys can see it on your screen right now. I got to read it off my computer because I'm too far from the screen here. But some stadium news. Kevin Powell of WGN tweeted out this media advisory. A couple other people tweeted out as well. It says, Chicago Bears plan to announce plans for new stadium and additional green and open space on Museum campus on Wednesday, April 24th. That, of course, is on the lakefront. The Bears, in collaboration with city officials and stakeholders, will host a press conference on Wednesday, April 24th to announce their plans for a state-of-the-art, publicly owned, enclosed stadium along with additional green and open space with access to the lakefront for families and fans on the museum campus. Certainly feels like the Bears are staying in Chicago at this point. Like, again, until something is finalized and, publicly released and, what's the old phrase, shovel hits the dirt. Sure, we can be skeptical and think they're going to Arlington Heights. I was for a while, but Kevin Warren seems determined to keep the Bears in Chicago, and it seems that's where this is heading at this point. So as more updates come in, we will continue to cover those. But Wednesday sounds like we could have something more official in that regard. Be sure to subscribe for more Bears news, rumors, and updates, and, of course, draft coverage as it is draft week. All right, we got Aaron Wolf saying, riding with the Poles. Yeah, I mean, look, if you trust Ryan Poles, then I don't think you should stress too much about number 9. I mean, the good news is even in the scenarios I don't love, you're still going to get a good player, so I'm not stressing it too much. CEO, I believe in Poles. He won't disappoint us. Bear down. Get the bear downs going. Aaron, again, he says, Caleb comes off as super intelligent, high intellect, and a young man who's highly focused. Regarding the Pivot podcast. Yeah, if you haven't watched that, go check it out. It was good. I did a video kind of giving my thoughts on it, but you guys should go check it out. Reminded me of Peyton Manning. Hey, maybe he will wear 18 for Peyton Manning. Who knows? And then Aaron Wolf says, next year, grab an edge. Yeah, I mean, look, early talk of next year's draft expects it to be a better pass rusher draft, so you could do that. And, look, you're not going to fill all these needs with premium players. I think the good news is the Bears aren't going to have just, like, shockingly bad weaknesses anywhere. Like, even if you don't get another edge, well, you at least still have Montez Sweat. We saw the impact he had after the trade. So, sign a vet after the draft if you don't get one in the draft. And, patchwork that position this year. You still have DeMarcus Walker. You brought in a couple of vets that can rotate. So, we'll see ultimately what they end up doing. All right. So, yeah, okay. You can go ahead and push across and just test the ear, make sure we're good. What we're about to do is something we've never done here before. So, and this is actually going to go out as a separate video as well for those who can't stay the whole time or whatever. Rolly and I are going to do a full round 1 mock draft, alternate picks. I'm going to start because the Bears pick number 1. And the ground rules are we can make up to 2 trades each throughout round 1. And I just thought it would be a good exercise to see how things could play out for the Bears at number 9, which is why also I want Roley involved because, look, when we run these mock drafts, you can kind of be like, all right, if this team picks this guy, et cetera. Like, you can kind of like angle it to where it ends up being what you want to happen. Well, if Roley's involved, like, it's a second pair of hands, and we'll see how it all shakes out. And we're going to do it based on what we think is going to happen. Now, obviously, if we trade, that's a bit of a leap of faith overall. But up to 2 trades each should be fun. Roley, any thoughts before we get into this?
You can bet your bottom dollar that Jaden Daniels will be going number 2.
Well, that's what we think is going to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I really
We're going to base it off
happen.
what we think is going to happen. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen.
Brotherhood says, damn, you taking Patriots away from Roley. Yeah, it's a dagger into the heart, but you know what?
I think I'm going to do what he wants.
Oh, well, yeah, he's going to do what I want anyway, but he did it to make sure that he's making both Bears selections. It's not taking away Patriots from me.
Yeah, it's more of so I'm making the Bears picks.
That's really what this whole situation is for.
Yeah.
And people are saying, Roley, take a punter. I will not ruin the integrity of this video.
Well, I guess we could do this.
No.
Well, I was going to say we could go NFC, AFC.
No, there's alternate.
We already got the. We've talked about this. This is how we're doing it, and you guys will see everything that's happening too. We'll have the PFF mock simulator pulled up. Like that's how we're gonna do it. We'll try to keep it moving. It's gonna be a bit of a longer exercise than a standard episode here, but
I don't think it's gonna be too long. Like I still probably say it's probably 20. Like. We're going to just give brief.
I was thinking it might be like a half hour.
Oh, you think that long? I was going to go 20, 25.
I mean, 32 picks with sponsor. And,
yeah.
I mean, it's not going to.
You're right.
I don't think it's going to take an hour, but
it's going to be a fun video. Like,
yeah, it's going to be fun.
Is it going to be the best video we've ever put out? No.
I think analysis-wise,
it's going to be very entertaining, though.
It'll be a fun exercise. Yeah, I'm excited about it. So. Karav says, Roley, pick punter number 2.
You know, listen, like I said,
we're going to keep this real.
I'm not ruining the integrity of this. I've been honored by HG to be featured on a serious video.
He says that now, and then he takes Michael Penix number 2.
Nah.
I'm kidding. No, we've talked it out. It's going to be fun. Let's get into it. Should be
I'm going to botch this, so let me just get
a grand old time. Roley's got to get some technical things lined up here, and then we'll get this thing popping.
One second here. It's going to go down.
If you send super chats, we'll get to those after the mock draft, unless it contributes to the video in some way. If you think of a creative way to do that, but otherwise we will get to those afterwards. So. When Roley's ready, we will get this thing started. You good to go back there?
Yeah, I didn't want to botch it. I thought I was going to botch it, but
boy.
I think we're going to be. I think we're just dandy.
Well, we're about to find out. Here we go. Mock draft time here on Bears Now. Oh, I'm excited for this. A fun episode here on Chicago Bears Now with the NFL draft. This Thursday, round 1, getting going on Thursday. We're going to have a different angle of a mock draft here on Bears Now. Myself and producer Roley are going to do a full round 1 mock, alternating the picks, and you guys are going to see how we make the selections in real time via the PFF mock draft simulator. I just think that one's the easiest to use, easiest to trade, because here are the ground rules. And by the way, I wanted to do this to kind of angle it in terms of how it could play out for the Bears, who are also picking at number 9. We're going to alternate picks. We can make up to 2 trades each. Didn't want to get too crazy. 2 trades each. And we're going to make picks based on what we think will happen. We don't have all the answers. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but that is how we are going to do it in this video. So without further ado, we're going to get this started. Roley, welcome in to the show. We'll start momentarily with the Bears on the clock. Do you have any initial thoughts as we go through this exercise?
No, I think it's fun. And listen, draft week is here, and that's always the most fun time of year as an NFL fan because every single fan base has hope, even if you don't have a first-round pick. And with the Bears having 2, I think it's a good exercise to go through, HG, to see what could possibly happen in different variables because in the mock drafts that we put out, the sim is in between picks. This time it's actually going to be real opinions from 2 guys that have been tapped into everything going on.
That should be fun. So again, we will make every single pick I'll do the odd number teams. Rolly will do the even number teams. Here we go. Not going to waste too much time on the number 1 overall pick. It's going to be Caleb Williams, which, by the way, I like how PFF has fixed their simulator. The ADP average draft position is now 1 flat. It's not even like 1.2, which means every simulation you run, unless you just choose to take someone else, takes Caleb Williams because that's just where this is happening. Before Rolly makes his pick at number 2, you got to be on board at this point, right? Like, I know a few of you guys still wish the Bears would have kept Justin Fields, and hey, that's your opinion. But if you're excited, if you are fired up about Caleb Williams becoming a Chicago Bear, hit the like button, like this video. I expect 2,000 likes on today's show. All right, so how the real draft is playing out is, well, the Commanders are on the clock already. Rolly, what are you going to do with the number 2 overall pick?
You're going to see me scrolling a little bit here. It's because fraudulent PFF has Jaden Daniels as their 21st ranked player. Listen, just all the buzz in the world is that they're going to take Daniels. Schefter's saying it. A lot of other reports as well. People know I'm a Drake May guy. Like, I think he's a better quarterback prospect than Jaden Daniels. But it just feels like everything's heading towards Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn taking Jaden Daniels. So he is going to be the second pick in this mock draft.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was that friction, Rolly, of maybe he doesn't want to go there, this and that. But even if Daniels would prefer to go elsewhere, I don't think he does to the point of where he's going to tell his agent, hey, make it happen. Like, basically pull an Eli Manning. Like, I think he'll go there. They seem to like him the most. So I'm with you. I think it's Jaden Daniels. I don't think it's 100%, but I think it's 90+. Barring a last-minute change, I think he will be the pick. That, of course, brings me on the clock with the New England Patriots. And to me, in this spot, you have one of two choices. You either take Drake May, which I think is the right thing to do. You and I both have him higher than Daniels in our QB draft prospect rankings. Or you can trade down. I've thought about trading down. I'm going to take Drake May. I think he's too good of a prospect to pass up on. You don't know what the future holds if you're New England in terms of future QB prospects. Do you want to get Michael Penix and go like the in-between route? Take Drake May, figure out the rest later. I think that's what the Patriots will do, and I think it's what they should do.
Yeah, so quarterbacks 1, 2, 3, and then this is where chaos can ensue. And I'm just going to have to glance over at the trade, see who's interested. Looks like it's just the Raiders, Saints, and Cowboys.
We know Monty Ossenfort likes to work the phones if anybody's watched those videos, which are badass, by the way. I wish more teams would do that.
I'll be honest here, Harrison. If it told me that the Vikings were interested, which we know they are interested in real life.
You could still trade, by the way.
I could. I'm not going to force it. PFF's telling me that they're not interested. And I do think this is a fun scenario to play out for the Bears fans, where what if someone doesn't trade up to number 4 for a quarterback, which would be JJ or Drake May? Well, if the Cardinals stay put, they're taking the number 1 player in this draft that isn't a quarterback, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr., in my opinion. They get Kyler Murray a weapon, and it just feels like a match made in heaven.
I think the Cardinals are in a great spot because remember late in the year, Rolly, we were like, oh no, is Arizona winning too much? They're going to get out of Marvin Harrison Jr. range. Well, that's basically no chance that happens now. Like, they're either going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. or they're going to get a shit ton of picks from a team trading up for a quarterback. So they're in a great position. It's either MHJ or a trade down. In this case, it is Marvin Harrison Jr. Chargers at 5. Bears are interested, interestingly enough, for the mock, but I don't think the Bears would do it for anyone other than Marvin. I think I am going to do the Minnesota trade. You got Minnesota at 11. I think to go up to 5, I think it's 11, 23, and then a second next year. Does that sound about right?
They do not have a second.
Oh, they don't have. That's right.
Third, though.
I think go with third. And by the way, we'll just have to force this because PFF thinks it's too much.
It somehow went down, actually.
I know because they're saying that it's too much for the Vikings to give up, but we know there's a tax on quarterbacks. The simulations aren't perfect. I think that's proper value. 11, 23, and a third next year. You think that's about the range?
I think that's fair. I think maybe
for the 4th quarterback.
If the Chargers really try to bluff them and say, well, the Giants are calling us to move up 1, potentially. If they like JJ, you could maybe coax something higher. But
I'll say this. If you give up your future first next year, I think you got to get something back. Like, I think you got to get like a 2 back from the Chargers or something like that.
See that? You get 37 back?
Yeah. I'm going to stick with this. 11, 23, and a third next year to move up to number 5. put that trade through. And then the Vikings get the fourth quarterback, and that is Bo Nix. I'm just kidding. J.J. McCarthy, the Michigan man, finds his way into the NFC North, and will be playing the Bears twice a year. All right, you're on the clock with the Giants here. None of the top 4 QBs still available.
This feels very obvious. I've been blessed with very easy picks so far. Jane Daniels at 2, Marvin Harrison at 4. And if this is really the scenario, JJ, all top 4 quarterbacks off the board. If JJ's available, I think the Giants think about it.
Yeah.
There's a report today that, or a couple of days, depending on where you're watching, that the Giants could be interested in trading up potentially to get a quarterback. I think they stay put and let the cards fall how they fall, and in this situation, Malik Nabers is there, and that's a no-brainer for Joe Schoen and the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants are kind of in a similar position as the Cardinals, although I think the Cardinals have a faster track to relevancy, whereas what I mean is, worst-case scenario, you're probably getting Nabers or Odunze. And best case, maybe best case, is one of the top 4 guys falls there, so... Yeah, I like that pick. I feel like Nabers is a pretty safe selection for that franchise, who has not had really a top-end receiver since Odell Beckham. Okay, the Titans at 7. I could flirt with the trade here, but I'll kind of go...
Final trade, by the way.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going to do it. I want to save my second trade. I'll go chalky pick here. I think Joe Wall, if the Chargers don't take him at 5, I think if you're Tennessee, it's too good of an opportunity. If you want to give Will Levis a real opportunity to be that team's franchise quarterback, you got to protect him. Get Joe Wall a stable force at that left tackle position.
Yeah, so this is my first really fun pick of the draft, I think. It's Atlanta at 8 here, where it could go a lot of different ways. I'd flirt with a trade potentially.
I could see a team leapfrogging the Bears for Rome. I really could.
I could as well, and I
could
think
the Falcons take him, by the way? I feel like we've completely dismissed that as an impossibility just because they signed Darnell Mooney. I love Darnell Mooney, but, is that a reason to not sign Rome Odunze or draft
You know what,
Rome Odunze?
Harrison? I am going to get a little chaotic here.
Are you going to take Rome to mix it up for me?
I'm going to force you to be difficult. I'm not doing that, actually. I'm forcing a trade because I do think this is a legit possibility. The Jets are going to look for a weapon for Aaron Rodgers and a long-term partner to Garrett Wilson. We know that. They signed Mike Williams, but I'm not sold on that long term. It's also only a 1-year deal. So the Jets offer maybe 10, 8. What do you think here?
Last year, the Bears moved from 9 to 10 for a future 4th, but I also think they did that because they knew they were taking Darnell Wright, so they weren't going to get a lot regardless. I think maybe 10 and 72, but then you get 8 and a 5th. You get a 5th back. What is that?
109 back?
143.
143?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the range. Obviously, you're going to have to force that through, but I think that's kind of what you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm going to force that trade through because, like I kind of said in my little spiel, I think the Jets are a team that really wants a weapon. If they stayed put at 10, I think Brock Bowers would probably be my top guy for them there. But they move up to 8 here, and I'm going to just force that trade to make it interesting.
Rodgers sticks it to the Bears one last time.
Oh, I didn't really think about it that way, Harrison.
But
I do think that is a legit possibility. And listen, that would be a fun fit there, and it obviously would make a lot more of a better difficult decision for Ryan Poles.
Yeah, and I'm going to ponder what I'm going to do here at number 9. And while I do that, I'm going to tell you guys about our sponsor on today's show. That is Game Time, where you can get last-minute tickets for the lowest price guaranteed. You can take that to the bank. Don't believe me? Well, if you find a ticket on Game Time and a similar ticket on a different app, and it's a lot cheaper there, show Game Time, and they will lower the ticket price for you because they want to give you the best experience possible, whether you're going to a Cubs game, if you're going to watch the Sox at Guaranteed Rate Field, whatever it is, they want to give you the best prices. They want to give you last-minute discounts. They want you to enjoy yourselves. Get out of the house. Go out and do more, and Game Time is the best ticketing service to go purchase your tickets online. If you're older and you like physical tickets, that's not the world we live in anymore, folks. You got to figure it out online, and Game Time makes it a lot easier for you. Download the app today. Use the promo code ChatSports when you create your account to get $20 off. Game Time is awesome. They show you vantage points of the tickets you're looking at, which is critical because I want to know exactly where I'm sitting and what my vantage point is if I'm going to spend my hard-earned dollars on a sporting event or a concert. Check the comments, check in the description for the link to go download the GameTime app and use promo code ChatSports to get $20 off. We appreciate GameTime for sponsoring today's show. All right, so I'm back on the clock, Rolly. I've already used one trade. I may have to do it again, man, especially if I'm Bear-centric my
pick is interesting.
Because my kind of order of operations for a while has been top 3 receiver, you take one and go. Joe Walt, if the receivers are going to take it to go, then it's kind of been trade back. Now, Byron Murphy's kind of in that discussion. I could take him here, certainly. I could take Dallas Turner as well. What teams are interested in trading up, if you don't mind me asking?
The teams actually interested is the Colts at 15, the Cowboys at 24, and the Chiefs at 32, according to this sim.
So I could very easily trade down to 15 and still get a really good player because only one offensive tackle is gone. Only no defensive players have gone as of now. And, if I go down to 15, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 6 players are going to go. Still a pretty good chance I'm going to get someone I really, really like. So let's pull up that trade with Indianapolis here.
Okay.
And let's go 9, 15, and 46. I think that's probably what you're looking at here.
That's pretty fair. Even PFF says 68%.
Fall 6 spots, still pick up a second. We'll put that trade through. It's a slight premium for the Colts, but I think it's in the range for a top 10 pick. So Indy's on the clock, which means I'm actually making this pick for them. They desperately need a tight end.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer.
I think if you're Indy, you're looking to trade up for a receiver or a tight end. Top 3 receivers are gone. Jelani Woods, I think, is their starter right now. If you haven't heard of him, that kind of goes to show.
Virginia tight end.
We're going to take Brock Bowers and get the best player available for Indianapolis.
Yeah, and then I'm back on the clock with
Atlanta on the trade
pal, the Atlanta Falcons. And there's different ways. Like, this could be the first defender off the board. Who is it going to be? Like, they desperately need an edge, so I'm flirting here with Dallas Turner. I also think they really do need a corner. And could it be Terrion Arnold and Quinion Mitchell? Like, they need someone alongside A.J. Terrell. But following the Falcons for a little bit here over the past year and a half here at Chat Sports, their biggest need is no doubt, is edge, because they cannot get after the pass rusher or the quarterback. So I am going to go Dallas Turner, and he is the first defensive player in this draft.
Yeah, I do think not enough people are mentioning corner for the Falcons, but Turner just feels like a Falcon. Maybe it's too obvious, who knows? But if you can trade down a couple spots and still get him, that's kind of an ideal scenario if you're Atlanta. So they go Turner. So now the Chargers are back, and I think here you definitely get a tackle. They got Rashawn Slater on the left side, which is why I think they'd be willing to trade down and pass on Joe Alt, Roley, because what does Jim Harbaugh want to do? He wants to run the football. Talise Fuaga just blows people up in the run game. I think you plug him in at right tackle. You brought in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. They're going to pound the rock and set up play action. Put Fuaga on the right side. I think that would be an ideal scenario for LA to move down 6 spots and still get a plug-and-play offensive tackle.
Yeah, now I could go full chaos here with pick number 12, Denver Broncos on the clock. Do they actually go quarterback and Michael Penix or Bo Nix? I am low on each. But like I said, this mock draft is what we think is likely going to happen, not what we think should happen.
I did hear Adam Schefter on McAfee on Monday say he would not be shocked if 6 quarterbacks went in the first round, so including Penix and Bo Nix.
But what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to bypass quarterback, and I am going to go with another edge with Latu here with the Denver Broncos. I think they could go corner as well.
I would have gone Quinion Mitchell there, I think.
But I'm going to go with Latu as the pass rusher to pair up inside. And they need to replace Bradley Chubb after dealing him a couple years ago.
I think if you're Denver, if I was running that organization, I would accept that we're going to suck in 24, and I'm just trying to get as many good players as I can at other positions. Just let Zach Wilson be my tank commander and get a QB next year. Okay, Raiders at 13. I could go a number of ways. I mean, Penix is there. There's been some chatter there, Roley. I'm obviously out of trade, so I can't trade down. They could also go with the right tackle. Do you go J.C. Latham with this pick on the right side? You could go Fashanu, but I think he's more of a left tackle. I wouldn't mess with that. Faltanu is very versatile. I'm thinking one of three players here, Rolly. Top corner, either Quinyon Mitchell or Terrion Arnold. Michael Penix, if I want to get crazy with it, or I'm taking a right tackle. Here's what your thoughts. What would you do here?
I think the Raiders are going to look corner. I would take the top one, and it's really your flavor, whether it be Quinyon or Terrion Arnold, but that's where I would lean for.
I'm going to go Mitchell. I think his athletic profile is a little better. He shut people down at the Senior Bowl. He's got that dog mentality coming out of a small school. The Raiders selected a MAC player in Khalil Mack back in the day, which worked out pretty well.
Buffalo, baby.
Let's run it back with Quinyon Mitchell. Take the first corner. First corner off the board at 13. That's pretty good value if you're Vegas.
Yeah, with New Orleans here at 14, I'm actually sprinting to the counter to hand this off to Roger Goodell here, Harrison. I'm going right to Fashanu. I think they need an offensive tackle back worse than anyone. You could argue J.C. Latham. I could see it. But I'll go with Fashanu, who, if you remember and watched this show back in the fall, I was calling him the actual best player in this draft back then.
Still really good. I mean,
I've changed my tune on how good he is in comparison to other prospects, but this to me would be no doubter. And maybe they like other offensive tackles, and Fashanu continues to fall closer to the 20s. But I think 14 is a great landing spot for the Penn State left tackle.
Yeah, I think he makes the most sense there because Trevor Penning's been horrible, and he's been playing on the left side. We don't know what's going to happen to Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle, but you at least hope he's got a chance to get healthy and come back. Because if you take Latham and Ramczyk's not back, well, you still need a left tackle. Unless you think Latham can play left, which some do, some don't. Fashanu feels like the safe pick there, and the Saints need a safe pick at that offensive tackle position. So I like that selection. So now I'm back.
You're back.
Bears on the clock. I think I got to go Byron Murphy here, man. If it's true that he's in play at 9, I think you got to take him at 15. J.C. Latham, you could go Troy Faltanu, but Murphy for sure is plug and play, gonna be a impact guy from day one, potentially a starter. Whereas if Latham can't play left tackle, what do you do with him right away? Is Faltanu a long-term left tackle, or does he play guard long-term? So I like the Murphy pick. I like him at 9. I love him at 15. I think it worked out pretty well for the Bears. All right, we'll get the 16th pick going here in just a minute. But hey, the real NFL draft starts on Thursday night. We will be live here on Bears Now at 5:30 Central Time. Myself and Rolly chopping it up with you once again for round 1 action. We'll celebrate Caleb Williams, and then we'll see what happens with the Bears at number 9, which is why we're doing this exercise. Could play out in a number of different ways. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. It should be a hell of a time. All right, Rolly, Seattle on the clock as we're almost at the halfway point.
This one's tough for me, Harrison. I'm in between Troy Faltanu and Jared Verse, both 2 positions of need for Seattle.
Obviously, University of Washington OC is there now, so he knows Faltanu well, Ryan Grubb. The question is, are you kicking him inside because they have 2 young tackles? Are you playing him at guard?
Well, that would be my thought process.
Play him at left guard? I think he'd be a really good guard.
When I talk about him in comparison to the other guys, I think Faltanu can play outside, but I think he's more well-versed to be a guard. And you know what? This little conversation just convinced me Washington stays home. It makes too much sense.
Yeah, with Grubb there, I think if Fatanu's there, I know a lot of teams like him, so the versatility increases his value as well. Jacksonville at 17. I think they're a trade down candidate. I don't have a trade left, but I think that's something to monitor. I know PFF lists edge as a need, but they have Josh Allen, who they just paid, and Trayvon Walker. I don't think you need to go edge here. Jared Verse wouldn't be a bad pick. You did lose Calvin Ridley. Do you go Brian Thomas Jr.? I think I'll tell you this. If Faltanu was there, I would have taken him and plugged him in at guard. I think that's what I would have done. Now, you could go Graham Barton. You could go J.C. Latham and put him at guard. You sprinted past Barton there if that's what you were trying to do. But, again, I would probably trade in this spot if I had another pick there. I think I'm going to go J.C. Latham here, Rolly, and kind of just say he's one of the best players available. If he can play right tackle, cool. If not, I'm just going to kick him inside the guard. He's a physical specimen.
Yeah,
Protect Trevor Lawrence, who got beat up last year.
That was a little bit of snipe job by you because I already was game planning my whole spiel about Cincinnati here at 18, going with Latham. Yes, they still have Orlando Brown and Trent Brown, but Trent Brown injury history,
one-year
deal.
Yeah.
You could sit Latham or kick him inside and then kick him back out if you feel it necessary. But that's ruined. So thanks for that. And I'm going to look at the trade here. And I actually love this right here. The Eagles are sitting here at 22. They're looking to move up. I don't know who they're trying to move up. I still haven't thought about
Brian
that
Thomas,
for them.
maybe?
But I do like this move. I'll kick that need for Cincinnati a little bit down here. What do you think, 50 and 22 to get up to 18?
I think 50's too rich.
Too rich?
Yeah, 4 spots when you're in the middle. I think it's 50 and, what's that? What is it, 80, 83?
Right here, it's 53.
Oh, it's 50, then 53 for Cincinnati? I think if you do that, you got to send a pick back. I think it's like 22 and 53 for 18
and 80.
And 80. I think that could work. PFF tends to agree there. Value looks pretty good.
97 says 53%. That's 50-50.
I think it's got to be 80.
All right, we'll go 80.
All right, there you go.
So the Bengals get 22 and 53. The Eagles get 18 and 80.
I think that checks out.
Yeah, all right. So now that the Eagles are on the clock at 18, they did just pay Devontae Smith. They have A.J. Brown. Could they go wide receiver and complete the trinity?
I know who I would take.
It's possible. I think it's likely. But I don't know where you're going to go with this. I'm not going wide receiver. I'm going to go Terrion Arnold.
Yep,
I'm going to go to the corner from Alabama. They need it with Slay and Bradbury getting up there in age. I think Terrion Arnold's a good pick there. They bypass a couple teams that could potentially need a corner and grab Arnold at 18.
Yeah, I think the value's too good here. That brings me to the Rams. First time they've been picking in the first round since Jared Goff in 2016, which is incredible to think about. Couple of guys I have my eye on here. I think I would take one of two players. I think I would take Jerzon Newton or Jared Verse. I think Newton's profile isn't that much different than Aaron Donald's was coming out. Kind of shorter guy. Him and Byron Murphy are very similar. Just lost Aaron Donald. Maybe try to replace some of that production. I edge off the Verse off the edge at 19 is pretty good value. You could go receiver like 80 Mitchell in that offense is pretty fun. So is Brian Thomas. I think I'm gonna go Newton though. Like it just kind of seems like, hey, this legendary Hall of Famer who was the undersized kid who no one thought he'd be this good. Let's get his replacement in a similar draft profile. And Newton seems like the foot has checked out after that workout the other day. I think 19 is a pretty good spot for him.
Yeah, this is a fun pick here at number 20 because I can go in a lot of different ways. They need wide receiver help after trading away Deontay Johnson. Both A.D. Mitchell and Brian Thomas Jr. are there. And if you really think about this, Harrison, Thomas Jr. falling to pick 20 might be a little bit of a surprise to most because he is very possibly going inside the teens. But the Steelers also desperately need offensive line help. Could they go Amarius Mims or Graham Barton? Because they do need some offensive tackle help. But to me, I think this fall for Brian Thomas Jr. is just way too much right now, and you pair him up with George Pickens on the outside for whoever's playing quarterback, whether it be Russ or JF1 in 2024. I think Thomas Jr. is a great pick here, great value, and then you pair him up with Pickens, and you have two big body guys on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, I think this board has fallen great for Pittsburgh. I think Graham Barton to plug in at center is a great option there. Jackson Powers-Johnson, Brian Thomas. Even, they love guys like Jared Verse. Like I think they'd have good options there. Okay, so we got Miami here. Oh, man. What do they do here? Do they add a – I do wonder. I know they signed who's the center they brought in from Tennessee?
Oh, Aaron Brewer.
Aaron Brewer. I do wonder if they could go Graham Barton, who could play guard or center.
They still need a complete replacement for Robert Jones.
Yeah,
kinda.
They lost Robert Hunt.
Robert
Hunt. They also lost. I know they replaced Connor Williams at center, but like he could play guard too, kind of like the Graham Barton situation. But they could improve that defense. Like Cooper DeJean's kind of fun.
Could take Jared Verse, Harrison. I mean, Jalen Phillips recovering from an Achilles. Bradley Chubb is always injured. They could get a young guy to put in rotation on that defensive line.
Kind of a BPA situation too.
They lost Christian Wilkins, obviously, so Jerzon Newton could be an interesting guy.
Yeah, if he's there, I think that would be interesting. I'm gonna go Graham Barton. I think the NFL is pretty high on him. I like Powers Johnson. I think he can play guard, but I know Barton can, a guy who's played left tackle in college. I think he's the best pure offensive lineman left on the board, so that's who I'll take.
Yeah, I'm here with the Bengals at 22, and I kind of want to do something reckless, Harrison. I'm not.
Are we out of trades?
I got one more left.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I lied. That's it. Because I trade back with the Bengals.
I am okay if we want to add one more each here.
It's your call. It's
your call.
It's your show. It's your call.
What do you guys think? I know you guys are watching live. Y for yes, add one more trade each. N for no. We'll let the chat decide. But anyway, keep looking, Rolly.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of pushed back the offensive tackle thing. I think now, after trading back, they'd feel more comfortable taking a first-round pick on a guy that likely might not play in year one.
Lots of yeses, by the way. So we'll do one more trade each.
Let's allow one more trade. But I'm not even going to change my thought strategy here. I'm still going to go Armarius Mims. I think I was going to take him if I was not allowed to trade, but I am allowed to trade. I'll go Mims. You can sit him a year if you want to.
Yeah.
You could play him inside. I think it's a good move by Cincinnati.
Yeah. Only started 8 games in college, but teams think if he gets developed properly, his traits are off the charts. I saw this dude walk by me at the combine, Rolly. I mean, he is massive. I mean, I think he's listed like 6'7", 340, and he is every bit of that. It is impressive. Okay, Chargers again here. Remember, they traded down with Minnesota. They got their offensive lineman. I think this has fallen pretty well, Rolly. I'm going to get another receiver here in A.D. Mitchell.
It's a home run.
You get a weapon. I think he's a top 10, 15 caliber talent in this draft. There's been some minor question marks personality-wise for him that could have him dip, but you put him on the outside. Hopefully Quentin Johnston comes along. You need a weapon for Justin Herbert. Feels like an obvious pick. Yeah,
I think that's a home run pick. And then the Cowboys up here at 24. And I'm given another trade. I'm going to use that other trade. I'm trading back with the Arizona Cardinals here, who are picking at 27. Cowboys move back just a couple of spots. What do you get? Probably
I would say
104? No, 162? No.
I think 90.
You think 90?
20. Oh, I'm looking at
that's
27
fair.
and 90. Yeah, I think so. Late third-round pick to move back 3 spots in round 1. I think that checks.
All right, so we're going to do that. And the reason why I did that is because the Cardinals are now on the clock, and they took Marvin Harrison Jr. early. But they have a lot of needs, right, Harrison? And you see one that stands out. They need interior offensive line help there. So what they're going to do is they're going to move up and take the Oregon center, who can play guard as well, Jackson Powers Johnson.
Yeah, I kind of wondered if you would have Dallas do that because they haven't replaced I'm drawing a blank on his name. He signed with Washington. They're
Biadasz, right?
Tyler Biadasz. I kind of wondered if you'd have Dallas do that, but they trade down there. So Green Bay, get the FGBs in the comments.
It's ironic that you're picking for
They're
the Green
on the
Bay
clock.
Packers.
I didn't even think about that. Okay. I got to play this straight up. God, I would hate it if Jared Verse just fell into their lap at 25. That would actually be disgusting. But you know what? They really do need to replace Bakhtiari, Rolly. Who's the best tackle left? Is it Jordan Morgan?
Yeah, we've taken a lot here. Tyler Guyton, Morgan,
I think Guyton. I think they'll go with more traitsy guy in Guyton. I think Morgan, his arms are a little shorter. He may end up kicking inside. I think Guyton is a traitsy pick that maybe he has to sit and they have to play a vet for a year, but some team's going to take a chance on him, even though his technique is leaves a lot to be desired. But the traits are there for Tyler Guyton. All right, you guys know the motto. Spam FGB in the comments right now. If you've made it this far in the video, we greatly appreciate it. We're going to wrap things up. If you're forgetting, the Chicago Bears got Caleb Williams at 1. Top 3 receivers were gone, so we traded back, got Byron Murphy at 15. Going to finish out round 1 here. I think it's a fun exercise. Okay, 26, Tampa Bay rolling.
And the verse slide fault ends here. I'll go verse. They
need to replace Shaq Barrett.
Yeah, Jared Verse, pretty simply right there. I'm going with him.
I like that. Dallas here. I think it's too early for Zach Frazier. I know some people like him late round one. I think it's too early. Do you go with the next receiver? It would be kind of fun to put Xavier Worthy on this offense with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is the possession, just like you trust him to give you 8-10 catches a game. Xavier Worthy, if he hits a couple home runs, I know he's lower on PFF, but I think he could go round one. Let's have fun with it. Xavier Worthy, you may have to just filter by receivers here or just search.
69th rank.
Yeah, he's higher. He's going to go late round one, early day two. Xavier Worthy at 27, kind of a fun pick for Dallas there in that offense.
Yeah, and the Bills are here at 28.
And they might be upset by that, by the way.
Yeah, they need a wide receiver bad here, Harrison. And I'd be shocked if they don't take one in the first round. They're a prime trade-up team. But in this specific scenario that we just played through, I don't have a trade available to trade back and maybe like go into the early second round. I think I'm going to just have to take the best wide receiver available in my mind, and that wide receiver is actually Xavier Legette. I have kind of bumped him above the Ladd McConkeys of the world. Legette allegedly has been told by the Panthers, who pick at 33, that if he's there, they're going to take him. So if the Bills see that as face value, then they snipe Xavier Legette here at the end of the first round.
He'd be a fun player in that offense. He's good after the catch. The Bills like to do a lot of quick game, get the ball out, so I could definitely see that. I'm going to use my last trade because I think it's fun. I'm going to trade down with Vegas, and they're going to come in and get Michael Penix. So let's see. Let's see what the structure of that looks like. So
44, 29.
Yeah, I think 77 and then maybe 148 kind of gets you there, right?
I mean, I think it says they're not interested.
Well, if they're not interested, it's going to be hard to – I mean, I could pull up the draft chart just to be safe here, but I think that's kind of – to move down 15 spots, what did I say? 44, 27?
77.
Or – What's the Lions pick? 29. So that pick's worth 202. 44 is worth 135. 77 is 60. So I'm at 215 already. We get there's a premium. Throw that 148 in there as well, just to give them a little extra juice. The Lions have kind of a win now roster already. They could move back a little bit, and the Raiders come in and take Michael Penix, who they've been linked to a lot over the last few weeks. I think they'd like to make a splash at quarterback. You get into the first round, get that fifth-year option.
Yeah, and then the Ravens here at 30, a couple last picks here. I think this would be a prime cornerback pick for them. Like, they need some secondary help. There's three good ones right here in McKinstry, Wiggins, and DeJean.
You want me to throw a name at you that, like, Baltimore would so maximize? Chop Robinson.
I don't hate that.
I think he would. Those traits in that organization. But there's some good corners there, too.
I'm tempted to go DeJean because he's so versatile. He could play safety
wherever.
Potentially.
I mean, he's kind of like Kyle Hamilton, where you could just move him around.
Like, that defense can just get you everywhere. But I'm going to actually go away from DeJean here. I'm going to go with Nate Wiggins, the ultra-speedy corner. Some people have him as CB1. I don't know if they still do. I know Jeremiah and someone else had him, and Brugler had him as CB1 early in the process. But I'll take Wiggins here at 30.
There you go. Okay, I think this is one of three things for San Francisco. Receiver, especially if they end up having to trade Ayuk, offensive line, or trade down. I'm going to go Jordan Morgan. He could play tackle or guard. I think if he does play tackle, he goes to the right side. His arms are a little shorter. Their right side of their offensive line really struggled, especially in the Super Bowl rollie. You bring him in there and you figure out if he's your right guard or right tackle. Whatever he's better at, you just plug him in.
Yeah, and then to round out this mock draft, the Chiefs at 32, pretty simply, they need a wide receiver. I feel like this might be the most common mock draft pick of all time. It's either Legette or McConkey there at 32. Well, since I had Legette going to 28 in Buffalo, I'll do McConkey to 32 to round out this mock draft. This was pretty electric mock draft.
This is fun.
See how they graded us.
Yeah, they don't grade. I don't think they grade
them all.
Let's kind of recap. How many offensive players total do we have? I think it's a bunch. If you want to kind of just tally them up there, going through it all.
So we got Caleb 1, Jaden 2, Drake 3, Marvin 4, JJ 5, Malik 6, Alt 7, Odunze 8, Bowers 9. So the first 9 picks we all had
Which
offense.
could happen.
And then we have, if we're just going the offensive counter, Fuaga 11, that's 10. Olu 14, that's 11. Fatanu at 16, that's 12. Latham 13. Thomas 14. Barton 15. Mims 16. Mitchell 17. Jay 17 or 18. Guyton 19. Worthy 20. Leggett 21. Penix 22. And then Morgan and McConkey to finish at 24.
I mean, the record for offensive players in round 1 is 19. I think we're hitting 20 easily. I just don't see. I mean, maybe it's like 21 or 22 instead of what we had at 24. Like, DeJean could certainly go in the first round, so could Kool-Aid, but maybe Chop Robinson. I don't think there's going to be a big difference there, though. Like, these offensive linemen are going to go. These receivers are going to go, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And, hey, we had fun. Hopefully you guys did too, but be honest with us, because if you didn't like it, we won't do it next year. But if you enjoyed this mock draft exercise, a little extra C there, type Y for yes or type N for no. And hey, hopefully it gave you some Bears context of what could happen inside the top 10. It's 50-50 on if Odunze is going to be there. I really do think that we can't assume if Odunze gets to Atlanta that he's going to get to the Bears, because Atlanta could just go luxury pick. A team could trade up. Like the Jets did in this exercise. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all ends up playing out. Hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Do not miss out, as we will continue to have you guys covered here on Chicago Bears Now. All right. Appreciate all of that. That was fun, man.
Yeah.
I think that's a good exercise. A lot of yeses coming in. I think it's fun. I just think it's important, too, to like take a step back and see what makes sense for other teams, too. Because, look, when you do these mocks, you're always trying to at least a little bit angle it for what the team you're doing it for is. But then when you go through like that, I mean, if you just like, before doing that exercise, Rolly, if someone asked you, how many offensive linemen do you think go in the first round? You might say like 6 or 7. We just did 10, I think.
Yeah. It was,
like,
how many were there? Like, we obviously had the big 3 on. Let me recount here. 1.
It was
2,
a lot.
2, 3, 4. 1 second. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, you're right.
10 offensive linemen. I mean, it's going to be a lot, I think. I think at least 8 go, and Jordan Morgan could sneak in there. At least one of the interior guys is going as well. Buddy Bear, good pick at 13. I would be very happy with Quinyon Mitchell, not so much on trading up for Penix. I know Raider Nation split Buddy Bear, but there's been a lot of buzz there, so I just thought, I'll sneak back into round 1 here. Aaron Wolf says, what are the Bears going with 42 draft rounded 2? Do you mean the 46 pick, like the one we got from Indy? I don't know. We just ran a round 1 mock, but if you get Murphy at 15, there's still going to be some receiver options in round 2, like Ricky Pearsall still out there, Troy Franklin, Keon Coleman. There's still going to be guys you could get there. You could still go O-line potentially, although a lot of those guys went. So, yeah, it just kind of goes to show who could still be available.
We had like rounds. 6 wide receivers go, I think.
Well, we had the big 5, 7. No, 8. Because we had Worthy,
Leggett, and McConkey.
Yeah.
8.
I think at least
more than half of our picks were offensive line and wide receiver.
That wouldn't shock me. Like, I could see it going that way. Wasim says, that was fun. Should have drafted Brian Thomas at 15, taken Tavondre Sweat at 75. Maybe. I based it on what I think the Bears would be more likely to do. I think if Murphy got to 15 with all the chatter we've been hearing, they would sprint to the podium. But we shall see. All right, that was fun. I think this was a good way to start draft week. 3 days to go. Rolly and I are going to be here the whole way. We will be back tomorrow with more videos. No live tomorrow. I'm actually off Wednesday just as like a gear-up day for the draft, but I'm thinking about going live from home, just kind of chopping it up with you guys, kind of like what I did for the Justin Fields trade, just me on my laptop. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. Shout out to Rolly, fun exercise. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We will see you guys soon. Bear down.
See you Thursday.